What if true resilience meant navigating war zones, corporate battles, and startup trenches, all while lifting up others? Meet a leader, a powerhouse who transforms crisis into catalysts for growth, proving that courage isn't just about facing storms, but about steering through them with purpose. Seema Verma brings 27 years of boundary shattering leadership across extraordinary landscapes. From commanding critical operations as a lieutenant commander in the Indian Navy during the devastating 2004 tsunami, to steering of the COVID 19 pandemic as Accenture's head of business continuity and resilience, to now pioneering healthcare innovation as co founder of Medilinks Canada. Her expertise in risk management and crisis response was forged in the most demanding environments, while her commitment to mentorship and empowering underprivileged communities demonstrates how authentic leadership creates waves of change far beyond the boardroom. It's our honor to have this force of resilience with us today. So, Seema, welcome to the Boundary Breakers Collective. How are you doing today?
I'm good, and it's really good to be in your company, Alina. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm thrilled to have you here. You have such an amazing track record. It reads like a novel, like a book. So I'm so thrilled to have you and curious to learn from you because you have been operating and navigating crises that everybody knows about and that certainly we can learn a lot. So let me start with, why do you consider yourself a boundary breaker?
Okay, good question, actually. I think I can go back to the time when I was a teenager and from the humble home that I come, though my dad was in the army and we have been brought up as independent kids. But however, we were part of that society where generally girls would get educated but were mostly expected to just get married and be happy and take care of homes.
Right.
So after my graduation, I was looking out to not just get married and do something for myself. And the society that I was in a small town, I didn't have much of guidance where we would get some coaching, mentorship, etc. Nothing. However, I did get this opportunity of joining the Indian Navy, and I felt that is my door to the outside world, which I was looking for, and to the respect that I wanted for myself to be a self made woman. So I took that opportunity and I cleared it in one go. And I joined the Indian Navy. And from there is no looking back because that is one field that I was looking for where I got the leadership opportunity. I got so much to learn and I got people to meet from this background and the entire lot of men to lead. And that gives me a lot of confidence throughout my career, which I try to pass on to my team members, whoever I have, my children, or whoever approaches me for mentorship. So, whatever I have learned in the Indian Navy and whatever opportunities I got to navigate through, I those have been my learnings. And thereafter, once I completed my tenure in Navy, I moved on to the corporate world. And again, I was there. There was an opportunity to go into a field which was generally meant to be really a good pathway for veterans in the corporate world, which is security and admin and all that. However, I preferred to choose something which to learn new, which was business resiliency and business continuity. So I went on to learn to certify myself and prove myself that yes, I'm fit for this role. And from there, I have been heading a lot of teams from Royal Bank of Scotland to Deutsche Bank and in Accenture. Like that, I have been heading these business resiliency teams. And thereafter, once I was at a point where I felt, what next? When I was in Accenture as a head of India business resiliency team, I was in a very comfortable situation where my kids were nearly settling down. My husband was in a good position. I was living a comfortable life. But I felt I need to do something more and something more challenging. And probably I have some more years in where I can probably give back or learn something new. And that's why this opportunity, when I saw, I felt that I should take it to get into an entrepreneur's role. And I invested a lot of my time, a lot of my energy, and a lot of money as well. And I've risked a lot to come to a foreign land and set up everything new from the scratch where I don't know anybody. So I am navigating myself, my business here, and I feel I should be able. There is nothing that I can't do. There are a lot of challenges I'm facing, but I will definitely navigate through them. So in that sense, yeah, if you look at my peers, my friends and all, I don't see that a lot of them would take these kind of risks and break these kind of boundaries. I felt there are boundaries that we all have around us which we can break, and we break unknowingly, we break them as well. Sometimes forcibly we are supposed to break it, sometimes we want to break them and go ahead. I took it consciously, and it's not that it came easy to me. There are a lot of challenges I'm facing, not a lot of support as well. Sometimes you get a lot of support, sometimes you really get a lot of negative comments as well, which there are days when it brings you down. But because I have taken the journey myself, I am the leader here. I need to take it up. So here I
Yeah.
am.
Wow. Yeah, you are absolutely about a boundary breaker, and it's very obvious that you live a life by design, the life that you want to live and how you want to
Yeah.
show up, and not what society is expecting from you. You mentioned twice, or even three times, I had this opportunity. Personally, I don't believe that this is only opportunities, because there's something about opportunities as a concept that you
Mm.
have to see them and you
Yes.
have to be ready for them and you have to receive them as an opportunity and just step into them. So
Mm.
I see a lot of people who also have these opportunities, but they just let them pass.
Yeah.
So you said, I have this opportunity to join the Navy.
Mm.
Not only did you join the Navy, you also were a lieutenant commander. This is not like joining the Navy, it's also developing a career in the Navy as a
Yeah.
woman. So, what is it as a leadership trait that you have that made you see these opportunities and made you jump?
I think the one point that comes to my mind, I have never read myself that way, but I'm impromptu answering you these questions. But one thing that is always there inherent in me is to take care of people around me. And I have always, in whenever I was in my school as well, when I reflect and I observe my qualities when I was young, was that I always sided with the underdog. So, in case there were clashes between two groups, I would definitely side with who is right. But at the same time, even if the person who is wrong and was being then totally mauled down upon by another group, I would tend to take support of that person because he or she was weak at that time and would
Mm.
try to bring the groups together. So that is one thing that I felt that is a quality in me, which probably reflects as a leadership quality, is to take care of people around me and to pass on the knowledge. Right, leader is not just
Yeah.
about going and leading and telling people what to do. It is also guiding them and passing on whatever back to them so that they are empowered and then they can become leaders and they can do the same thing. So that is one thing that I felt was a big plus point for me when I was in the Navy, and that's how I took care of my platoons, my groups, and people who were reporting into me. They're young people; they are from not very privileged backgrounds, so you need to guide them throughout, and you have to keep them morally motivated. And so that's a huge interaction that as a young, I was just 22, 21 years old when I joined, and then you had to take care of people who were probably even elder to you but not as educated or as knowledgeable as you had to keep them with you. So how do you as a young leader ensure that somebody who's reporting into you, who's probably at the age of your elder brother or 10 years elder to you, ensure that they'll listen to you? The only way you
Yeah.
can do is to remain professionally bright and talk to them professionally, convince them that you know better than them and you will take care of them. So that's how military works, right? You have to take care of your people.
Yeah. You said you joined the Indian Navy at age 21, 22. How were you supported, or did you have resistance to do that? from family or other people close to you? How did that go? Did you have role models? Did you have mentors? Or did you say, no, I had to fight my way into the Navy?
Yeah, I do have my role model in my dad. So he was very supportive of me. And my mom was okay. Yeah, okay, you can go try. But she was not sure whether I'll get through it. And she said, you're going to waste time. So, well, you can go and try. But once I cleared it, they were very proud of me. So that way, there was no resistance. Once I cleared it, there was no resistance. And yeah, role model wise, my dad was my role model. My brother was also in the army that time. So they were there as my role model. And once I joined the Indian Navy, I got to see a lot of people who became my mentors and who I looked up to emulate and see that this is how you need to behave and this is how you need to conduct yourself in the military.
Yeah. You can hardly deny that the Navy is a very male dominated environment, and then
Yes.
especially if you climb the ranks. So, how did that work for you?
Yes, that's a very good question because when I joined, I was the second batch of women officers who was joining. So it was just a very new concept, absolutely new concept for the people, for us, of course, and the Navy itself. It was very new, so they were also like wide-eyed to see women in uniform around them. They were not sensitized enough to conduct themselves, how to behave, women around them in uniform. So we had to take all those challenges. And yes, the resistance was a lot from them as well because they would judge us. They would feel that we are being preferred or probably we don't do as much as they do. So like we all say in the military, all the women, they believe that they need to work double to prove themselves equal.
Yeah.
So that's how we did. And whatever the way we conducted the future batches of women officers, they got that much respect, that much inclusivity was there because the way we conducted and we fought our way through, there was a path created for the future generation. So
Yeah.
they are much better, they're in a much better space right now.
You prepared the way for the next generation,
Yes.
basically. Yeah. So even if a lot of women are not serving in the army, they do work in a lot of male
Yes.
dominated and
Yes.
sometimes even toxic environments.
Yes.
So what would be your best advice to give them in order to thrive and not just survive in those kind of environments?
My clear suggestion, like I spoke earlier, is that you need to be very clear and you know what you want in life, right? You just want to survive, then you will just survive probably, or you will probably be wiped out. But if you want to lead or you want to make a mark, then you need to be master of your subject, whatever you are in. You need to learn that subject. You need to ensure that you are a professional, and in case you are a subject matter expert, in case somebody needs any help they should say that, yeah, okay, go to Seema, she knows it. So if you can do that, I don't think so there is any stopping anywhere. There will be people who will judge you and all, but you should get that maturity, how to filter the noise and how to move ahead. And you can't get into fights every time and prove your point, but you can prove your point by how you conduct yourself.
Yeah. I like that advice, like being the go-to person as a subject matter expert. Then again, what I see very often is that people don't show up as a subject matter expert. They're like very modest or they don't have the confidence to expose themselves as a
Yes,
subject matter expert. They feel like they should be humble or they don't have the confidence that they know already
yes.
enough or that. So how did you overcome that?
It's a big mix and match actually. So there are a lot of times where you know just the toughness of men or what do you say the male toughness doesn't work. It's the female humbleness or politeness. It works, right? It works in a lot of way. So there are times where you know you need to. I'm not saying that you need to become a man to be in a man's world. You please continue to remain what you are. It is not at all correct that you lose your femininity or your gentleness because you need to go into a man's world. That is not at all what I would advise. What I'm saying is that you just need to be the area that you are in, be a subject matter expert in that. And indispensable. Even if you're indispensable, they should be able to replace you by you yourself when you come back. Or they should be confident enough to take a woman back in your role in case you are leaving. That's how they
Mhm.
should look at it, that okay, if Seema has left it, fine, we were doing so well with a woman leader there or a woman person in that role, let's take another woman. Like that,
Yeah,
it should be seen that way.
wonderful. Yeah, that's a very good angle to look at things. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, Seema, you were involved in two world events, actually. I'm talking about the 2004 tsunami and then the COVID-19 pandemic. So, how did you navigate those challenges and what lessons did you learn about leadership during crisis, which were actually,
Yeah.
you could say these two events were like world crises. What did you learn there? How did you do it?
2004, I was posted in the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. I was in the Navy at that time. And the day when the tsunami struck, I was supposed to be proceeding on leave. Those islands are really cut off from the mainland. You need to take a flight, and the flight from the mainland to those islands would come only once in a day. So it was a very poor connectivity at that time. Only one major airline used to come. So I was supposed to be on a vacation. It was a Christmas period, and I was supposed to go on vacation that day. But the early morning when the earthquake and the tsunami struck, of course, within few hours we were told that all leaves are cancelled, and as such there are no flights operating. And believe me, that was a time when most of us they didn't even know what tsunami means actually until it actually came and hit us. Luckily, I was in Port Blair, which is the capital part of those islands, and it is on a higher ground, so the tsunami didn't actually impact us so much. But there are smaller islands where we had our Air Force units, Army units, and other civilian population and tribals who were living there who got totally wiped out. And my son was just 5 years old at that time, and me and my husband both were posted there. Within 3 days, second day, we were told that we need to go and visit the islands and see what's going on there because we were totally blind. We didn't have any communication. Those were the days when there were no communication, no cell phones as well. So we knew something wrong has happened, but what has happened? So we had to fly down and see and come back and consolidate everything to understand what kind of impact is this. And third day, the first flight came. The first decision that I took was that this is not a place now where because I will be involved in rehabilitation efforts, my son will be totally left because we were not even staying at homes. We were living in tents in community spaces. So I sent him back home. He traveled all alone as just a 5-year-old from islands to mainland and mainland to Delhi, two flights change, coming to my parents' place. So that was one major decision. One learning that I had was that we need to quickly improvise to see how we can, one, protect ourselves, our family members, our surroundings, and then see how we can help the others. So I had to send him back, and we were involved for more than a month in the rehabilitation efforts. And when I say efforts was we had to consolidate, even find out what is the kind of loss that we have had, how many people were there in those islands. And there was no such database available in those times. So we created databases. We started sending reports to the government so that they would ensure that we get those kind of helps. Third, fourth day, we started getting a lot of relief material through ships and through this thing. So sorting out that relief material was itself a huge task because people were just dumping stuff in the islands on the name of relief material. So those were the learnings that I really got, that whenever there is a disaster, you need to ensure that you tell people donation is just not dumping, right? Donation is you find out what is the kind of disaster that people are going through. You make packages according to that, to matching that requirement over there, and then send it. There were packages which were coming with old clothes dumped and old shoes dumped, and it was a humongous effort only to sort out those relief material. So the learning from there was that you need to navigate your way. You need to improvise immediately. There are no times to you learn and do something. You need to improvise.
Yeah, you don't have the data to make decisions, to
Exactly.
make informed decisions. Yeah. Mm.
And coming to 2019, I was in Accenture. I was head of India Business Resiliency, and that becomes we basically become the key member of the war room at that time. And again, the same similar situation. Nobody at that time felt what is a pandemic, right? Even work from home was at a very minuscule level happening in our organizations. Most of the people would work from offices at that time on desktops. And when somebody said that, yeah, we're going to have a lockdown. And in January itself, we found out, we learned from China because China was hit first. So our learning came from China, that what are they doing and how has it hit them? And we realized that we may have to quickly improvise to go and tell the leadership that this is how we need to operate. We will have to send people home and they will work from home. To convince the leadership was very difficult because they felt that no, maybe it's just for half a day, or maybe it's one day, maybe it's 2 days, we'll declare a holiday. I said it's not going to be like that. And when government declared that we will have a Indian government declared 2 weeks lockdown, entire country, 2 weeks complete lockdown. And this was never seen. This was never ever heard of. And it was lockdown means that day it will be shut down. So we just had a couple of weeks to prepare to ensure that people have devices and they take home and they start working for them. So things like, again, it's all improvisation and thinking aloud and being inclusive of ideas is the main thing. A crisis which is absolutely new to you, you have to be inclusive of ideas. And that's how we operated and we navigated through that crisis.
Yeah.
For example, I'll tell you, on a normal regular day in Accenture, if somebody had to take permission to take a device, a laptop or a desktop home to work, they would have to go through 21 step processes on a regular day. Now, for this, I said you cannot handle it. If you go through 21 step processes, we had a population of almost 100,000 people across the country and 36 offices across the country. 36 offices, so many people, everybody has to take their devices home. Are they going to follow that 21 step process, which includes multiple departments, right? Their dependency. If this person doesn't sign off, this person will not sign off. So we had to squeeze that. I had to really sit through a lot of these department heads and convince them that we need to make it to a 5 step process maximum. And we did that.
Mm.
Finally, we did that. We said, pick up your desktop, go to the gate, and sign a gate pass entry and get out. That's how we pushed out people before the lockdown. And again, it is like I said, it was not a single handed effort. I created teams to do that. So different cities, different departments, and there were other leaders who were listening to us. Thankfully, you had to convince the leaders to listen to you. And that's how we navigated. I just gave you one example. There were many such examples where we had to create people who could take phone calls, a help desk, who, when they reached home, they started connected. And so there were so many issues we had to handle, right? There were people who were staying in, generally when people work in small town, in big towns like Bangalore, Pune in India, they are coming from their villages and they stay there and work. So they stay in paying guests, like they share accommodations. There is a house where 3 or 4 people will be staying and they go to work and come back home. So when they stay in paying guests, during a lockdown, when there was so much of fear amongst people that if you come in close contact, probably you'll die, what these landlords did is they said, please vacate, go home. We don't want you here. And that scenario, we had so many people who were staying in paying guests and they were told to leave. They were on roads. They didn't have a place to
Mm.
stay. And they were our critical people who were working, right? So they were doing critical tasks for our clients. So we had to arrange hotels, accommodations, talk to people, hostels, and ensure that they maintain that safe distancing,
Yeah.
social distancing, etc. So a whole lot of work. There were times when I was working almost 20 hours in a day. And despite delegating so much of my work to my team members and keeping them motivated, because we were not getting paid extra for this, right? This is a crisis and this is what we need to handle.
Crisis.
So
Yeah.
how you keep your team members motivated to do something 24 by 7, right? I put them on a
Mm.
duty for 24 by 7 in shifts, mostly 10 to 12 hour shifts, and kept them continuously motivated to do this work because I said, this is what we are meant for. We are crisis managers. You have to handle this. So that's how we came out of it. And we have a lot of praises from our clients, lots of appreciations from our clients, not just for our department, but for IT, for admin, for everybody. And that's how we sail through that. And we are prepared for it now, much better, much better. But
Wow. Yeah.
crisis doesn't
And
come with an announcement, right? Like pandemic or like 9/11. No, nobody before 9/11 knew that planes could come and crash into a building. Who could imagine that? Who could imagine a pandemic? Probably people imagined epidemics and small level of absenteeisms in offices and due to sickness, but nobody imagined a global level pandemic the way we saw it in 2019, 20.
yeah, absolutely. In these times of crisis, although I see it, even if it's not like this world crisis is, there's a lot of fight or flight modus. There's a lot of stress, and a
Yeah.
lot of us go in
Yes.
this fight or protect modus,
Mm.
and we don't really activate our prefrontal cortex, where creativity is, where curiosity is, where opportunities and possibilities are. It is so in this emotional regulation and emotion
Yeah.
control is so important,
Important.
but sometimes we don't have access to it because we are in our flight or fight modus. So
Absolutely.
how does emotional intelligence play in your leadership approach? How did you activate that? How did you keep it going? How did you like delegate it to your teams so they
Yeah.
had these proactive decision making processes that are sustainable?
Yeah, I think that's a very good question. And I feel it's very important point that we as leaders should always acknowledge, should be always taken care of. I always ensure that I keep talking to my team members. One is not just to talk and lecture them, but just to hear, just to listen to them, what they're going through, what do they need. And during these times, during these crisis times, I used to ensure that I talk to each one of them, even if not collectively, individually, just to hear, not to tell them what to do, but just to hear what they want, what are they going through. And there were times when we would be on calls, and because those kind of calls were a very new thing, right? Calling from home on camera and all that. And they would feel embarrassed if the child is crying or calling you. I personally felt, please feel free and leave them free, because it is we who have encroached your home, right? They have not come to office. We as office, your office has encroached your home. So you are encroaching their space. So please do not shout at your child. Do not shout at anybody in your home for whatever calls you're going through. So it is very important that they get the support that they require from their families at those times. And to get that support is to remain calm when they're, and how can they remain calm is when I'm assuring them that it's fine if your child is jumping around. Don't worry, it's okay. It's fine. It's absolutely fine. Remaining in touch with your team members is the key for emotional intelligence, and ensuring that they are satisfied and they feel happy that they are working. They should be satisfied that this is the amount of task they have achieved today. So they should not feel burdened that, oh my God, I need to do this again. No. Instead of that, they should be feeling, oh, wow, I have achieved this. So how that is where that is the change that you need to bring in
Yeah,
between your team
this
members.
sense of contribution also.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. It's a good bridge, this sense of contribution, because something completely different, Seema. And this is a question I had, and I love these activities because you have this professional success that you have built in so many areas and in so many countries and activities, but you're also giving back to society. There's your initiative like the Nanikali project. So
Yeah.
tell us a little bit more about that project, but also how do you balance those two, the professional achievement with this paying it forward, with giving back?
Yeah, sure. Giving back is, like I told you, it is inherent in me. I always feel that I need to give almost 10% of my savings and 10% of my time, whether it is monthly, whether it is annually, to the society. Somehow I
Mm,
should be able to achieve that target. And it should be, it's just not giving. And like I mentioned earlier, you can't just donate and dump. You need to ensure that you are it goes to the right place and it is appreciated, and it is, you are able to see that there is a progress made there. So how I got associated with Nanikali was, Nanikali is a project in India run by one of our big corporate, actually, Aditya Birla Group, and it is their foundation where they take care of orphan girls, and in the villages they basically identify all the needy girls from the villages and educate their education right from the beginning till the end. So if I want to associate with that, Nani Kali is a Hindi word and it means a small flower, a bud, basically. Okay. How I got associated was that I wanted to donate and sponsor one girl to begin with. So you could do that once in a year. You pay for that child, and then you get those. You continue to get those pictures. You get an opportunity to go and meet that child, how she's doing, how she's progressing in her studies. Does she need any mentorship? Does she need any other help? So I did that personally. I did that. I ensured that when I was in the Navy, once I also got the entire community to donate, and that particular unit became the sponsor for two girls for the year. So
Yeah.
that continues, right? So it's only through basic donation that we created a small foundation, and that foundation was enough amount to sponsor two girls. So that's how
Wow.
I continue to remain in touch with Nanikali. Apart from that, I also look around wherever I go because we keep changing locations due to our transferable jobs. So whoever is closer to the society and is in need, we try to do, whether it is through mentorship, whether it is going and taking classes, or whether giving those orphan kids or elderly parents them access to your community where they can come and play, probably conduct some events for them, like that. And similarly, even for environment, we have done a lot, and like planting trees and ensuring that those plants are growing into trees. So we keep looking, going back and looking at that, whether those trees are actually there or are they uprooted. So that's how I continue to remain in touch with giving back to society.
Yeah, I love it. I work with buy one, give one. So
Yeah.
for every interaction I have selling one of my books or people joining my programs, I sponsor a woman in Kenya with a business education and a
Wow.
microcredit so she can
Wow.
start her own business and support her family, maybe her community, and so
Hmm.
she can send her children to school
Cool.
instead of having to get them to get married at 13 because she cannot feed and educate them.
Yeah.
So this giving back is something that we all can do, right? I mean,
Yes.
we don't have to be Melinda Gates in order
Yes.
to have an
Absolutely.
impact. So why do you believe, as female leaders, it is so important that we do this, that we are paying it forward?
Can you repeat that question? Sorry. As women leaders?
Why do you believe it is so important that we do this, that we
Yeah. Yeah.
support these projects, that we pay it forward, that we give back?
Yeah, I did look at it from women leaders' perspective, but you're right. It is important for women to do this because ultimately these are the values that you pass down to your next generation. There is a next generation who's looking up to you, and they see how you operate, and they see that these are the, it's empathy which comes from within, right? You understand how the society is operating. Probably I have been in the privileged class in India. I don't know whether how Indian society is. It's a total dichotomy. We have multiple levels of society. We have super privileged class, a privileged class, and a very poor background class people, right? There is a class of people where they don't even get their basic needs, food from, whether
Mm,
it is food or housing or anything. So I have been in a privileged class, a very comfortable society, but when we think of it as a country or a society, we need to ensure that they are also taken care of. Otherwise, we are not progressing. A progress of one particular part of the society is not progress of the entire society.
mm,
So if there is an imbalance, what efforts am I making to remove that imbalance? Even it may be a very minuscule percentage. It may be just touching one person, but you need to touch some lives. Some
mm.
lives you have to touch. And even if one person is doing one, I think it makes a lot of difference.
Yeah, and there's a ripple effect, right?
There is a
It's
ripple
not
effect.
only the life of one person that you touch,
Yes.
also the lives of their families or their communities.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. So, what advice would you give to women that are watching this, that are listening in here, women that also aspire to break boundaries and to achieve success and to show up and find their voice, speak their truth? What would
Mm.
be like your best piece of advice for them?
I would definitely like to tell them to continue to dream. Never leave your dreams. Pursue your dreams. They must pursue their dreams. And there will be a time in, I think that is a fact, and we cannot deny the fact that in a woman's life, career path, there is a time where you get a chance to just step back. You probably want to take care of your family, your kids are growing up, you've just given a birth to a child, you want to take a break, and you are tempted to step back. Fine, you
Mhm.
step back. Whatever works for you, you do it. But if you have a dream, do pursue it. Come. If you think that you have taken a break now, nobody's going to accept you, know that there you will be accepted, even if it is a smaller role or whatever role. Please restart and see that you are financially independent. Financial independence, especially in a country like India, for women, is a must. Is a must. This is the underlying statement that I'm making, advice that I'm giving to women, especially in India or at countries like India. Or I think it is true everywhere, in fact. Being
It
financially
is.
independent, it gives you a freedom to do what you want to do.
Mhm.
Otherwise, you will be dependent on somebody, or you will keep postponing things, or you will just become, the day you think that I'm just taking care of my family, I'm a caregiver, I'm taking care of my kid, they're growing up, and suddenly the kids are gone. And then you
And
feel
you have the
so,
empty nest syndrome. Yeah.
yeah, and suddenly you feel that, oh my God, now I'm worthless. So don't come to that, avoid coming to that point. And
Yeah.
even if you're staying at home, you can continue to upskill yourself. Keep reading.
Absolutely.
Yeah, keep training. So that, and nowadays the world is totally connected remotely. So why not stay at home and do something? But continue to pursue your dreams. Do not give them up.
That's a beautiful advice. That's a beautiful advice. Thank you so much, Seema, for sharing your experiences, for sharing your life and these very important etapas in your life. I'm sure that this is absolute source of inspiration for many of the people watching this or listening to this. It's extraordinary. And then, yet again, it is achievable. This is such a beautiful example of what can be and how you can have different phases in your life and different activities and make different choices that are like aligned with your own values and with your identity, how you see yourself, and are not necessarily aligned with how society sees us and what they impose to us. It's about making your choices, making decisions aligned with yourself, and like you actually showed in your career all the time from very young age, it's about also caring for other people. It's caring for human beings and for humanity and being at service. And that's a wonderful thing to
It's
do.
such a
So
pleasure
kudos
being
to you. Yeah,
It's such a pleasure, Helena, to be with you. And let me tell you, I've been following you and your books and your articles and the work that you're doing to support women leadership. It's just amazing. So
mm,
kudos
thank
to
you
you
so
that you
much for
could think
that.
of all this and supporting women. This is what we
Yeah.
need, definitely need. And thank you so much. It's a
Absolutely.
pleasure.
You're so welcome. As I said, this is one way to do this, to support other women also by providing these platforms like the Boundary Breakers Collective as a source of inspiration and encouragement. So if you liked what you have been hearing, let us know. Send us your feedback in the comments. We will monitor it and support this because that makes these episodes also distributed to other women who might need this information and who
Yes.
might need this encouragement, and watch also the other episodes because there's one thing in common here with all the episodes. They're all amazing, extraordinary women.
Sure.
And you are also an amazing, extraordinary woman. So just
Happy to
relate to
help,
that
and
and
I'm happy
take it.
to help anybody whom you feel that could I could be of help. Any help anywhere, please do reach out anytime.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Seema.
Thank
And
you. Bye
thank you
bye.
also for staying with us. So connect with us, comment, give feedback, ask your questions,
Sure.
whatever you feel is needed to be more supported. We're here for you and we have your back. Thank you so much.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Bye bye.
Bye.